February 16, 1945, 8 a.m. You are deep underground, about 10 meters below sea level. You are not moving. You have been here for weeks. Off the coast, more than 400 American warships begin their bombardment. Every battleship, cruiser, and destroyer opens fire at once. The ground above shakes without pause. The air inside the tunnel is thick and suffocating. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Over the next 72 hours, more than 6,800 tons of naval shells rain down on Iwo Jima. The temperature inside the bunker rises to nearly 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The ceiling trembles violently as dust and rocks fall around you. You remain seated with your back against the stone wall because everyone knows one thing. This is only the beginning. The real battle has not started yet, and you are already trapped inside it. February 21st, 1945, 9 a.m. The invasion begins. Around 30,000 U.S. Marines storm the southeastern beaches of Iwo Jima. Amphibious landing vehicles crawl slowly across the island's black volcanic sand. Every step sinks 5 to 10 centimeters into the loose ground. The Marines believe 3 days of relentless naval bombardment have destroyed Japan's defenses, but they don't know one thing. You are directly beneath their feet. You are one of approximately 21,000 Japanese soldiers defending the island under the command of Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, a commander who completely transformed Japan's defensive strategy. There are no trenches lining the beaches, no immediate counterattack against the landing force. Instead, there is a vast underground fortress, a network of tunnels stretching for more than 27 kilometers, 17 miles, connecting over 1,500 concealed fighting positions. Every soldier has only one order: wait for the perfect moment. You lie inside a machine gun bunker about 300 meters from the beach. The firing slit in front of you is barely 15 centimeters wide. Through it, you can see them, thousands of Marines, exposed, unprotected. You grip the trigger, but no one is allowed to fire. Wait until the beach is packed. Wait until every bullet matters. 9:15. The shoreline is now crowded with men and vehicles. American tanks begin rolling ashore. Naval artillery falls silent. For a brief moment, everything becomes quiet. Then the order echoes through the underground network. Fire. The entire island erupts. More than 100 hidden artillery pieces and machine guns unleash a devastating crossfire from invisible positions. You squeeze the trigger. The first bullet leaves the barrel. One man falls, then another, and within the first 30 minutes, thousands of American Marines are pinned down on the beach. They cannot advance. They cannot retreat. You stop thinking. You only keep firing, and in that moment, you realize something. This is not just a battle. It is a system designed to kill. After the landing on February 19, 1945, the battle unfolds nothing like the way you were trained. There are no massive charges, no clearly defined front lines. Everything happens underground. A tunnel network stretching more than 25 kilometers, 15.5 miles, connects Mount Suribachi to the northern end of the island. Some sections are less than 1.5 meters, 5 feet high, forcing you to stay hunched over for hours as you move through complete darkness. There is no fresh air, only stifling heat, the smell of sweat, damp earth, and lingering gunpowder smoke. Your day begins at 5 a.m. You inspect your Arisaka rifle, clean the barrel, and count every round of ammunition. Then comes resupply. Each ammunition crate weighs around 20 kilograms, 44 pounds. You carry 2 or 3 at a time through the tunnels. A single trip can cover more than 500 meters in suffocating, cramped passageways. Your back aches, your shoulders burn, but no one stops. Because if you stop, the men ahead of you run out of ammunition. Discipline here is unlike anything you have ever known. You do not fire without orders. You do not make unnecessary noise. And under no circumstances are you allowed to surrender. These are not slogans. They are the rules of survival. One exposed position could lead to the destruction of dozens of interconnected tunnels. February 21. American forces begin using flamethrowers and explosives to eliminate tunnel entrances. In some sections, the temperature rises above 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The air becomes almost impossible to breathe. You learn to recognize danger by sound alone. The hiss of a flamethrower, the sharp echo of metal striking rock overhead. Every sound is a warning. Every sound could mean life or death. One evening, while moving through a narrow tunnel, the soldier walking ahead of you accidentally drops a metal tool. The clang echoes through the confined passage. Only a few minutes later, American artillery begins pounding that exact section of the tunnel.
The walls shake violently. Part of the tunnel collapses. When the bombardment finally ends, the soldier is gone. No one says a word. You begin to understand how this entire system truly works. There is no room for mistakes, no second chances. Every action carries an immediate consequence. You no longer think about victory. You think only about surviving one more day. In the darkness, beneath the earth, inside a machine that never stops.
February 23, 1945, 10:20 a.m. You hear cheers erupting from the direction of Mount Suribachi. The Americans have raised their flag on the summit. From your position, nearly 2 kilometers away, you cannot see the flag itself, but you can hear the battlefield changing. The gunfire grows heavier. The pace of movement quickens. The pressure is shifting northward, and you know your position will be the next target. You are ordered to hold a fixed firing position. Your weapon is a Type 92 heavy machine gun, weighing approximately 55 pounds and capable of firing 450 rounds per minute, with an effective range of about 800 meters. You and 2 other soldiers are responsible for the position. Your mission is simple. Hold your field of fire. Do not allow the enemy to advance even 10 meters farther. You are issued 2,000 rounds for a day's fighting. The tactics never change. Wait, observe, fire accurately. You are forbidden to fire continuously. Each burst lasts only 3 to 5 rounds before you pause, adjust your aim, and fire again. If you stay on the trigger too long, the enemy will pinpoint your position, and once they do, artillery or flamethrowers will arrive within minutes. You are not fighting to kill as many men as possible. You are fighting to remain unseen. February 24th. American troops push even closer. The distance between you and them is now barely 200 meters. You can see their faces, the sweat, the dust, the exhaustion. You squeeze the trigger. One man falls. The others immediately dive for cover. Their reaction is fast, extremely fast. Within seconds, bullets begin slamming into the rocks around your firing slit, spraying dirt and shattered stone in every direction. You move immediately. A secondary tunnel, about 30 meters long, leads to a backup firing position that has already been prepared. This is the rule. Never use the same firing position more than twice. The third time means death. You have watched it happen to others. You have no intention of becoming the next one. By the end of the day, you have fired roughly 300 rounds. You have no idea how many men you have killed. You no longer try to count. The number no longer matters. What matters is that you are still alive. You still have ammunition, and the enemy has not completely discovered your position. That evening, as you sit with your back against the tunnel wall, your hands still trembling slightly, you realize something. You no longer see the enemy as human beings. There are no faces, no emotions, only targets, distances, and the exact moment to pull the trigger. That is when you understand you have become part of the system, completely. February 26, 1945. American forces have advanced another 1.5 kilometers into the island. They begin deploying M4 Sherman tanks alongside their infantry. Each tank weighs roughly 30 tons, protected by armor more than 50 millimeters thick. Your rifle is almost useless against them in a frontal engagement. You are forced to change the way you fight. There are no more direct confrontations, only evasion and waiting for the perfect moment. You learn to read the battlefield through sound alone. The grinding of steel tracks over volcanic rock, the low rumble of tank engines, the unmistakable hiss of a flamethrower, its flames reaching nearly 40 meters. If you hear that sound too close, you have less than 3 seconds to retreat. There is no second chance. One moment too slow, and you will burn alive inside the tunnel. The rules for survival are simple. Fire. Move immediately. Never use the same position more than twice. Always keep an escape tunnel behind you. Every fighting position has at least 2 exits. You begin moving constantly. You never remain in one location for more than 20 minutes. Everything becomes instinct. You no longer think. You simply follow the procedure that has been drilled into you. One evening, while crossing a tunnel partially collapsed by artillery fire, you find a wounded comrade lying across the passage. He cannot move. Behind you is 15 meters of tunnel. Ahead lies the only exit. You stop. You look at him. There is no time for words. There is no third option. You step over him, not because you want to, because you understand.
If you stop, you die beside him, and if you die, the position behind you loses another soldier. A gap opens in the defensive line. The entire system begins to fail. You are no longer fighting for the man beside you. You are fighting to keep the system alive. That night, sitting in another bunker about 200 meters away, you realize one undeniable truth. You are still alive, but what you carry with you is more than exhaustion. It is a decision that can never be undone. From that moment on, you are no longer the person you used to be.
Around the 10th day of the battle, approximately February 28, 1945, your unit has lost more than half its strength. 12 men have become 6. Your commanding officer is killed during an artillery barrage just before 3 p.m. There is no ceremony, no final words, only an empty space. And in this system, every empty space must be filled immediately. No one officially promotes you, no formal order is given, yet every pair of eyes turns toward you, waiting for a decision, waiting for instructions. On Iwo Jima, authority does not come from rank, it comes from staying alive and remaining calm enough to make the right choice. Now, you are the only one left who can. You divide the remaining men into positions. 2 operate the Type 92 machine gun. 2 carry grenades and demolition charges. The last soldier handles resupply. Each man has only 120 to 150 rifle rounds remaining. Every bullet must count. One missed shot may mean there will never be another opportunity. That evening, another crisis unfolds. One of the forward tunnels has been discovered. You have 2 choices: hold the position and risk everyone being burned alive, or retreat immediately, leaving behind a wounded soldier who cannot move. You study the map, estimate the distance, calculate the enemy's likely response time. Then you give the order: retreat. No one questions you. No one argues. The wounded soldier says nothing. He simply looks at you for a few seconds, then turns away. That is how the system works. There are no explanations, no emotions, only decisions and consequences. 300 meters later, your group reaches a new position. You count the survivors. 5. Still enough to hold the line. You sit down. The map remains in your hands, but you are no longer looking at it, because you understand something with absolute clarity. From this moment forward, every decision you make will determine who lives and who dies. You no longer have the right to be wrong. American forces now control most of the southern half of the island. Mount Suribachi has been completely lost since February 23rd. Your defensive line has been pushed more than 2 kilometers northward. There are no longer fixed units, no direct commanders, only scattered pockets of resistance. Yet, the system still survives. And now, you begin coordinating it. You are no longer leading just 5 men. You establish contact with 3 other tunnel groups, bringing together roughly 25 to 30 surviving soldiers in your sector. There are no radios, no formal communications. You rely on flashlight signals, knocks against tunnel walls, movements timed to precise schedules. A delay of only a few minutes could lead an entire group into an ambush. You organize nighttime counterattacks. Teams of 5 to 7 men, armed with Type 97 grenades and demolition charges, crawl to within 20 meters of American positions, strike quickly, withdraw immediately. The entire operation lasts no more than 8 to 10 minutes. Never hold the ground, never pursue. The objective is not to destroy the enemy. The objective is to keep relentless pressure on them. One night at around 1:40 a.m., one of the soldiers in your group slows down as you approach the target. Just 1 second. But it is enough for the enemy to react. You look at him. You do not shout. Without hesitation, you say only one sentence. 1 second slower, and we'll all die. He nods. The next time, no one slows down. You begin to understand how this system operates at a higher level. People are not controlled by emotion. They are controlled by discipline and fear. You no longer need to give long explanations. You do not need to motivate anyone. You simply give the right order at the right moment, and everyone follows. As you sit inside a makeshift command bunker, sketching defensive positions from memory, you realize something. You are no longer just a soldier trying to survive. You have become the person keeping this system alive, even as it slowly collapses. March 10th, 1945. American forces now control more than 80% of the island. The Japanese defensive line has been completely fragmented. Regimental and battalion headquarters no longer function effectively. The remaining pockets of resistance are scattered and isolated. But beneath the ground, the system is still alive. And now, you are the one holding its broken pieces together. You no longer receive orders, you create them.
You base every decision on the sounds of enemy movement, the rhythm of artillery bombardments, and the remaining ammunition inside each bunker. Inside your mind, you redraw the battlefield, every tunnel, every escape route, every firing position that is still operational. You remember them all. You begin redistributing your remaining resources. One bunker still has 300 rounds of ammunition. Another has only grenades. A third has completely lost its machine gun. You move ammunition. You move men. You make sure no position remains unmanned for too long. You cannot allow the Americans to discover a gap in the defense, because even a single gap could unravel the entire system. You no longer think about victory. You accepted days ago that victory was impossible. But victory was never the objective. The objective is to buy time, to force the enemy to pay for every step forward. During a brief pause, one soldier quietly asks, "Do we still have a chance?" You look at him. You do not answer, not because you do not know the answer, but because inside this system, the truth no longer matters. The only thing that matters is continuing to act. At 3 a.m., you order another small raid, only 6 men. The target is an American supply point, roughly 200 meters away. The goal is not to destroy it completely. The goal is to force the enemy to spread out their forces, to keep constant pressure on them, to make sure they never feel safe. Later that night, sitting alone in the darkness after the attack, you realize something with absolute clarity. You are no longer part of the system. You are the system. And you will keep it functioning until there is nothing left to keep alive. March 16, 1945. American forces declare Iwo Jima secured. Above ground, the battle is over. But beneath the island, you are still there, along with a few hundred surviving Japanese soldiers scattered throughout the northern tunnel network. There are no longer defensive lines, no complete command structure, only fragments of what once existed. You move alone through familiar tunnels. Some have collapsed, some are filled with smoke, others are so silent that you can hear your own breathing echo through the darkness. You check your ammunition. About 15 rounds remain. 1 grenade. No resupply. No escape route. No one is coming to replace you. You sit inside a small bunker. The light grows weaker. The map lying in front of you no longer has any meaning. The positions you once defended, the positions you once coordinated, no longer exist. You try to remember the first day you arrived on the island, but that memory has faded. It has been replaced by the sound of artillery and by decisions that could never be undone. For the first time in weeks, you receive no orders. You give no orders. No one is waiting for your decision. Then a thought enters your mind, one you never had time to ask before. If this system no longer exists, who are you? There is no answer. You stand up. You inspect your rifle one last time. It is still clean, still ready. Everything has been maintained exactly as it should be, just as it has been for the past 30 days. No emotion, no hesitation, only actions performed exactly as you were trained. On this island, more than 20,000 Japanese soldiers fought. Only a little over 1,000 survived to be captured. The rest disappeared together with the system they had defended. And you realize you are standing at the very end of that chain. Somewhere else, at another time, a young soldier steps off a landing craft, gripping his rifle tightly, believing he is beginning a mission. But you know the truth. It was never a mission. It was a system. And once you stepped inside it, it took everything from you.